Welcome back once again. It's that time. Uh, just another time for just another podcast, just another moment in time spending, you know, these brief moments of what we believe to be reality in this known universe with each other. It's just you and me of what we believe to be reality. Um, my Streamlabs looks weird, and I don't know why. It's like slightly raised, like ever so slightly, like just a couple millimeters that it's cutting off the top. I don't know. It's very interesting, and I don't know why. I wonder if I don't know. Don't know. Uh, Anywho, to get us kicked off with podcast, gonna sing ourselves a little song, and I'm sure that this is gonna be a song that many of you recognize. However, uh, something that I wanted to go over this week is, sometimes things can be new, and that can be scary. Sometimes things can be known, and they can be annoying. Repetition and whatnot. It's your interpretation of something, whether it be the first time you see it or the next time. Uh, it's. I'm like trying to find the right word, and I just cannot think of it. Um, but basically, it's good to have an open mind and being willing to consider something. Um, I'm like completely losing. I'm just gonna get into it because anyway. We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I. You know what I've been thinking of. You wouldn't get this from any other guy. I just wanna tell you how I'm feeling. I'm gonna make you understand. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. We've known each other for so long. Your heart's been aching, but you're too shy to say it. Inside, we both know what's been going on. We know the game, and we're gonna play it. And if you ask me how I'm feeling, don't tell me you're too blind to see. I'm never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. Um, so that's Rick Astley's, Never Gonna Give You Up. Uh, that's where the term Rick rolling comes from. It's a very popular meme. Uh, you know, a lot. the way that it came about is, people would send links and whatnot, and this was, before you could see, like previews of like the page title and what was actually going to play. You just had like this straight up hyperlink that you could click on. um, I like how I'm giving like a brief history into memes, but some people may not know this. And so what they would do is, the term rickrolling comes from when people would say, hey, check out this really funny video, or could you please go to my website, basically clickbaiting them and then sending them this video because it was popular at the time. I don't know why specifically this video, but yeah, basically it would always show up as this, the dun 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 dun, and most people wouldn't get that much farther than that, but yeah. So the term rickrolling comes from, you know basically uh, lying to someone and giving themselves. I'm not sure if it's, I don't know. But basically, it progressed to, if you just played that song, it was just like you got jebaited. Basically you got the old bait and switch, and aha, got you. Um, you know, it's so famous, that even if you just play a little bit of the tune, uh, people will get it and just automatically hate the song. It's like Megalovania from Undertale. If you just mention, like from the or even just that, people just start groaning, because they know that it's a meme. That's how you get people, basically. And honestly, has nothing to do with the song in and of itself, but it's how it's portrayed and how it's used that people take it as an insult, or getting getting a prank, basically, getting played or whatever. Um, and it's kind of sad because both of these songs are pretty good. They're definitely, interesting and got a good tune. They were used for, careers of separate people for different reasons, but would have no other connection other than the fact that people use them on the internet to troll each other, basically. Which is kind of interesting because there's no way that these two things uh, should ever like meet. If you look at Undertale, a video game, a soundtrack of a video game that's based off of like a retro style indie, um, just like the whole genre of Undertale, being completely separate from the fact that it's a game and whatnot, and what the song there entails with the fight between the player and Sans, um, and then relaying that to this, popular song that was by this singer back in the 80s. uh, you know it's just kind of interesting that, there is no plausible reason why these two things should ever coincide. um, but it's cool because they do. On the internet, a lot of weird and random stuff happens, but the internet is a place where a lot of things can overlap or whatnot, but it's specifically because of the meme culture, and the fan base. um, all this other stuff with media, uh, you know random things become memes and whatnot. It's just kind of interesting to see that, these things naturally would have no way of ever interacting uh, in the same fashion in any way, shape, or form. But they do because of how people use them for memes, basically. I don't know. It's just kind of a cool thing to consider. The the point that I wanted to touch on was the fact of, you know, people taking offense or, immediately saying like no, stop or turn it off without even giving, you know, the song an actual chance, which to be fair is usually, dependent upon the situation and whatnot. But if, you know, a lot of people say that they don't like Rebecca Black or, Justin Bieber or Miley Cyrus or whatever because it's just not cool to like those people. But it's okay to like Owl City, or Weird Al. Um, it it's these things that just become commonplace because of the way that I don't want to say media culture, but um, socializing communities. I can't think of the proper word or whatever. But basically, it's if it's not accepted to like those things, and if you do, then you're an outcast and bullied for it. Basically, um, there's a lot of talk. Um, there's like when um, gay rights or whatever, um, basically, calling someone gay wasn't an insult anymore because people would say, hey, it's 2020, anything can happen, we don't care anymore. And I think that's sort of when people were able to take a rise, I guess. I'm not sure what. Um, but, it's weird because we have all of these stigmatisms and like things that we default to, not just paranoia, but like stereotypes and, you know, oh, don't say that word because it's super bad. Uh, you know, cuss words are weird because they don't mean anything. You know, uh, let's take bitch for example. Bitch in and of itself simply means a female dog. It's a common word that's used, and it only became a bad word because uh, people were starting to use it to call each other this. And you would obviously insult someone as saying that you're like son of a gun or son of a trying to think of like all the different things out there, whatever, son of a hamster, or, like all these different things. Oh, son of a bitch. Freaking, I forgot that one. That wasn't me saying it. That was me remembering that that's the whole thing that I was trying to relate to. But now people use it to refer to each other as a friendly term, They just say, hey, biatch, what's up? And it's weird, and I don't really understand it. So that's one of the main reasons why I don't use cuss words, because, you know, I feel like they've sort of lost what their meaning is and have started only to be recognized as cuss words. You know, uh, you know, fecal matter, poop, shit, shite, uh, you know, like all these different things are technically mean the same thing and describe it. It's just sort of your lineage and where you're from, of like your certain word usage. Some people say couch and some people say sofa, some people say pants, some people say trousers. you know from like wherever you are, words mean different things, but also things go by different words. So it's just kind of a weird, and again, this isn't just, English that I'm talking about. There's other ways of things can translate and whatnot, but I guess I am sort of referring to American culture and what passes as insulting, which, in this day and age of 2021, everything's an insult. People will get upset and insulted and feel attacked over anything. You just cannot talk to people. There's the phrase of saying that you can't please everybody, but now, like, I feel like in this year, you can't do anything to anyone without upsetting them. You know, if you offer someone your chair, they're going to be like, "How dare you? You think I need your help?" Or even worse, they'll assume that you're being sexist, or that you're simping, or like all this random stuff of like you're being a creeper, or like uh, or you're invading your space, or I don't know. There's like a dozen reasons of why trying to do anything as simple as holding open a door or offering someone money can be insulting. People will take offense to anything, and it's crazy. Um, and cuss words are no different. You know, here's a funny thing that I've always wanted to discuss, and well, I've always thought about the N word. You know, I'm not gonna say it because I have no reason to say it. I have no desire to say it. I would never use it as a descriptor or derogatory term. Um, but the term does come from the Spanish word negro, which literally means black. Don't know why we called people from another continent Africa a Spanish word, other than I guess we were originally Spaniards. I don't know. Like it literally makes no sense where the word came from, but it did get shorthanded, and then suddenly, it was used as a derogatory term, but now it's gotten to the thing where if you even mention it, you're just gonna get completely shut down and your life is ruined, and it's just weird. The Spanish were really big into the slave trade. That's probably where it came. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Um, but here's the thing: is that you know if you are in a classroom and you've got people of different races, in America, sometimes you have to describe someone as like, hey, the girl with the long hair, uh, you know, there's like tons of girls with long hair, the black hair, the brown hair, or whatever. Sometimes you don't want to say like their race, or what their skin color is, but that is a common descriptor that should be able to be used commonly, not to refer to someone as simply being that. It's when you don't allow the person to actually be a person, and only like stereotyping them into this category where you treat them differently, because I guess that's by definition what prejudice is. You prejudge someone because of something such as their nationality, their racial traits, their skin color, what clothes they wear, what food they eat, or if someone is Asian, or actually if someone just has narrow eyes and you assume that they're Asian, where they could be Puerto Rican or Spanish, or have just like a conglomeration of different races in them, and you just assume that about them. Oh, you got narrow eyes. You must be Asian. That means that you're smart, and you eat weird foods, and like it's freaking weird, man. You know, you know, there is, some stereotypes exist because when you look at it from a statistical standpoint, sometimes those are true, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to simply, you know, take, you know, someone's chance away to introduce themselves and like be who they are. If you take that away from them, then sorry, I needed water. I was getting tongue tied. Um, if you don't allow someone the chance to actually be themselves and you shut them down instantly right away and just treat them as something that they may or may not be, even if they are, that still doesn't give you the right to instantly accuse them or shut them down. Um, uh, there was something I was gonna say, but that was kind of going off of a tangent. I'll go back to I know what I was going to talk about. People say that black people are they're slow, but they're also physically strong, and that comes from in the slave trade. When people were going over there to that country, they were taking people, and they weren't that much, technologically different from us, but we were going to their villages and taking people. um, and what they would do is, instead of grabbing like the young or the scrawny or even the intelligent people, they specifically tried not to get intelligent people because they didn't want anyone escaping or breaking out. They got the people that were hardy and healthy looking and actually like physically capable of surviving the trip across the ocean, and a lot of people died because they just didn't take care of them. They went for a quantity thing over or quality. It's just horrible. Slaving people is bad, but also, there's just so much about slavery that was just wrong. And, it's easy to say, well, slavery's bad, but the way that people are treated, the the thing about slavery being wrong is because you are taking away someone's humanity. You are forcing someone into a situation where they have no chance or opportunity or freedom or escape or expression. You are completely locking someone down. you know so I would almost go as far to say that prejudice is as bad as slavery. If you don't allow someone to be free from you know this stigma, and if you actually lock them out of jobs or social circles because of who they are, that's just wrong. Um and what's even worse is when we see that that's wrong, and so people in businesses realize that we don't have enough black guys in our thing, so we've got to make sure that we've got three men of African heritage uh working for us by the beginning of next week. If you have to discuss that at a business table, that's just stupid. Going back to the N word real quick, I was talking about cuss words and I kind of got way off topic, but I want to go back to the N word real quick because I have this idea, and this might blow your guys' mind, but they can say it because they've taken it back or whatever. Like I was saying, if you referring to someone as a dog is a derogatory term, so referring to someone as a bitch is a bad term, but people use it as like an upholding, you know people use it as a friendly word now. It's just like, what the heck then? Like, what does that even mean? Is it good? People call themselves all sorts of things that are normally derogatory terms, and I just don't get it. Literally don't get it. But here's one of the things that I've considered that maybe no one else has considered. You know, if I use the N word to describe someone or refer to someone, if I call someone the N word, that's wrong, that's bad, and that's hate speech, that's hateful. You know, and here's the reason why, is because it doesn't matter, necessarily what I said, but how it affects the other person. Nobody ever considers that, that the way that you say things or what you say can be interpreted differently than what you're actually saying. That's a real and scary thing that can happen. You can be referring to something as simple as the color blue. You've got a blue book, and you're a teacher and you're asking all the kids to get blue books. That could be like PTSD for some kid growing up who was beaten by blue books. I don't know. It's this weird thing of, you have to be aware of the way that you say things and who you're saying them around into, and that can seem like you're trying to censor yourself because you don't want to offend anyone, but it's good to consider other people. And it might seem like it's a bad thing to be lying or censoring yourself, if you think or feel differently, and you're just trying to be polite or nice around other people. But here's the thing, is that you almost never ever want to be like blatant or upfront with people. And I learned this the hard way. I appreciate when people are honest with me, even if it's brutally honest or hurtful. I would rather know than them to try and tell me what I want to hear, because that doesn't feel good to me. But you can't force people to talk about stuff openly or be honest. And at the same time, if you are constantly honest with people, it's not a good thing. You shouldn't always share your opinions with everybody, because most of the time nobody really cares. But also at the same time, your opinions and words can affect other people. And so maybe you don't like a person one day and you really want to go off on them, but you're friends with them and you're polite enough to hold it back and let it out somewhere else, not to smear all that negativity around, and you hold it in, you let it out later, and then you come back and sometimes you do have to put on a little bit of a show to sort of make sure that you're not hurting other people. I always say discretion is the better part of valor. It's better to control your words and not speak carelessly than just let it out and put your foot in your mouth. Yeah. They discretion is the better part of valor. I want to look up both of those words real quick. Discretion. Discretion, the quality of behaving or speaking in such a way as to avoid causing offense or revealing private information. To speak with discretion is to withhold enough information that it's not going to hurt or affect other people, basically. Discretion is also the freedom to decide what should be done in a particular situation. If you are handling something with discretion, you are handling it in a lawful or judgmental way that will be considering and affecting all parties. Discretion is a very good thing to have. That's probably the word that I was looking for. Valor basically means courage. Bravery, courage, fearlessness. Great courage in the face of danger, especially in battle. Yeah. So it's good to be careful with the things that you say and do, especially around other people, because of how it can and will affect them. You know, um, and I've slowly been learning this because I try to be very careful with the way I talk, but my dad will always catch me in, like, I slipped up with just a single word. You know, you know, there's a lot of things, and I'm trying to be more aware, but I have a problem where I do not know how to speak properly, promptly, and carefully at the same time. Talking like this, I am sort of, rambling a little bit, but this is, a topic and discussion that I've thought about before, and I've ran through all these thoughts in my mind. Um, but they always say that you should think about what you're gonna say, like say it out in your mind, and then like proofread it basically, and then say it. But when you're in a conversation that just isn't, you know, feasible, it really isn't. Especially when you need to respond quickly and promptly. And my mind is a lot slower, but you know that's my issue. And I know that I have a problem with that, so I am aware of that, and I do try to be, careful with the words that I say. Not just because people respect my opinion and authority, but the things that I say can and will affect other people, and I want to make sure that if I am saying anything, I'm saying what I mean to say, and I hope that it doesn't get misconstrued um, in any way, shape, or form. All the stuff that I say on here, I wouldn't mind being public, in front of my friends and family. Um, I am sort of putting this out just sort of into the void, so to speak, but I am also putting it on YouTube, so it's going to be around forever, basically. So I wouldn't mind if my children watch this, or their children's children. I want to. I never at any moment in time want to look back and realize that I could have done better, or I should have done something differently. And if something like that does happen, I immediately go and try to fix that. If I have upset someone, I can't just go on with my day, leave and basically walk off and, you know, ignore it and feel better. I can't do that. But again, that's me. Um, I still haven't done the thing that I basically tried to do with this entire thing. You know, if I say the N word, it's not racist because he's black. It's racist because I'm white. You know, when you think about it, is actually racist against me. You know, so there's that whole spiel of like, who's being oppressed here or whatnot. But honestly, white guys, we don't need to say it. That there's no argument that you can tell me of why we should be able to take back this word when we were the ones that used it as a derogatory term, intended it for it to be used as a derogatory term. We're the ones that made it a bad word. So there's just like no point to use it. However, if you stop to consider, how silly it is, you know, that's what I'm trying to get at basically, is that all of this like hate speech and stereotypes and stigmatisms and prejudice is all just silly when you really think about it. People still believe that certain races are better than other races. Just overall, like, people still believe, the Ku Klux Klan is still out there. They believe that the not just that the white people are supreme race, but the blacks are, uh, I don't know if they believe they're like a blight on society, but they believe that they're not human. Like they think that they're people from hell that got burnt or whatever, which doesn't make any sense. You know, literally, science can prove that, when you live in different places on the planet, your skin color does change due to, um, you know, I don't remember what the word is, but there's like stuff in your skin that changes and like makes your skin basically more opaque in order to block radiation from the sun so that you don't get, you know, sunburned and skin cancer, and all this stuff. People have developed natural uh, abilities to overcome the environments that they live in. You know, that's evolution. Um, yeah, it's weird, you know, but it there there's a thing between you know prejudice and stupidity, and there's a very fine line, and I feel like as we're getting to this day and age in 2021, people are just more stupid. I'm seeing like people that are acting weird, and uh for it says Trevor Noah has an interesting perspective on the N word because it wasn't a slur in South Africa. Also, the Klan and most white supremacist groups believe that non-whites are lesser human. Oh, okay, so it is non-whites. I thought it was specifically black people. Okay, are lesser humans closer to animals than man? It's stupid, but then again, so is the idea of a superior race. Yeah, exactly. Um, you know, the Jews also believe that they're superior because they were part of the family um, that God led through the Bible. But if you also, read the Bible, Jesus came down and was God, and told them that even the Jews need help. That like he came to save everyone, but the Jews didn't listen to him, and the Jews actually cursed Jesus, basically. And that's the reason why he died, to save everyone, because in the Old Testament you had to do these things and follow these rules and make sacrifices, but Jesus did that to help everyone. And again, I don't want to go full into religion, but that was just like a little detail that I wanted to touch on um, when you were talking about you know the superior race thing. And Hitler thought of blonde hair, blue eye, white skin. He called them the Aryans, I think, or whatever, which I think probably comes from some mythos. I don't think it's Greek, though. It might be, though. It it actually might be Greek mythos, because I do know that the swastika is a symbol of Hermes, which represents fire. Um, which is a shame, because it's a cool shape, and it symbolizes fire, and I wish we could like use it more or whatever, but it's become like this thing that if you put a swastika on anything, it means that you're a Nazi and you hate everybody and you want to kill all the Jews or whatever. Um, which again, I don't know what Hitler's deal was with the Jews, specifically the Jews. You know, I would have assumed that he would have gone after everyone who wasn't blonde hair, blue eyes, but I think he just specifically liked people that were blonde hair, blue eyes. By the way, Hitler, brown eyes, black hair, the most common genes or whatever. It's just, it's weird, when you force your opinions and ideals onto other people, that's when it's wrong. you know Everyone is entitled to the opinion, and people always say like, you're entitled to have your opinion, you know. But then, people start using that as, a derogatory term, you know, that you can have your wrong opinion, you can have your opinion even though it's wrong. It's stupid. Actually, no, people call other people entitled. Using the word entitled is a derogatory term now. Hold on, let me just look up that word real quick, what it means. Entitled, believing oneself to be inherently deserving of privileges or special treatment. That's what it means now, I guess, apparently. Entitle. Give someone a legal right or a just claim to receive or to do something. Yeah. Basically, to give someone... A title is sort of like, when you work at a job. If you become a manager, that's a position. You have a title, which, enacts sort of your position and power and whatnot. To entitle someone is to, give them legal right. It's like giving someone a warrant if they need to, like, enter a building and do something or whatever. Give something, especially text or work of art, a particular title. Yeah. Just giving a title. But if someone is entitled, yeah, this is the only definition. To be entitled isn't to have been given a legal right or just claim to receive or to do something. No, to be entitled means to believe oneself to be inherently deserving of privileges or special treatment. The definition between entitling something and being entitled are completely different, because that's what it means now. That's the definition that we've given to it now. There's a lot there that could derail this stream for weeks. Oh yeah, absolutely. I should not have touched on like all the freaking Hitler and Jew stuff, and oh goodness, if we ever get onto freaking philosophy and religion, that was the word I was going to. If we ever get onto that, we are just going to go for hours. And I really don't want to do that with just me here. That's the reason why I don't want to touch on specific topics if it's just me bullshitting basically and putting my my opinion out there. My experience, my perspective, what I think, what I know, what I feel. If I just do a whole lot of that, I don't think that's that's not constructive. That's not really, that doesn't really do anything. Not to say that if I'm going to talk about something, I want to have an expert here, or that I need someone from that position or, perspective to defend it against me. But I would like to have people on that would be able to discuss this with me, because I'm very much willing to admit and consider that I have the very wrong idea. His issue came from a couple of sources, a big one being the myth that the Jews stabbed Germany in the back during World War I. Oh, that's right. I don't know why, but he was also heavily influenced by classic and anti-Semitism. Yeah. Hitler was interesting, and I don't want to go into this, but I think he was crazy. I don't remember. I know that he was, into mythology and whatnot, but I think he was also into aliens and like a whole bunch of other stuff. And that's sort of where, we get all these like movie things and whatnot, where, the Nazis have discovered space technology and, zombies and whatnot. I don't know. I honestly think that Nazi zombies is because, what's the one thing that makes killing zombies easier? Oh, just make them Nazis. Oh, yeah. Because everybody hates Nazis. Even Germans hate Nazis. And that's because Hitler was radical. Um, Not to say that he was oppressive, but he was very intense and passionate. He was, oh goodness, I should really not get into this. Um, but he was a public speaker, uh, a very good one. He influenced a lot of people. Um, but it almost felt like maybe the Nazis were more of a cult than actually reading about his early life. The guy was the definition of entitled. Oh yeah, I do know that he grew up in a good family. Um, and like, there's always the joke of the reason why he became a bad guy is because he failed art school. He did like an art and his teacher didn't like it or whatever. That's the definition of someone who is entitled and a snot-nosed child with a silver spoon in their mouth. Um, he did the reason why he was successful to a point was that he tried things that had never been done before. He got the children involved. It wasn't just propaganda. He was actually making events and whatnot to sort of you know do things to impact and involve the community. um, and honestly, he might have learned this from America, because the reason why America won in the First World War is because when we got attacked, we basically put all of our manufacturing into overdrive, and we had just like a 10 to 1. If one plane versus one plane, killed each other, we could still like keep cranking them out. And we had so much trouble with each other, but having a common enemy really united us. And I think maybe Hitler like learned some of that. I don't know. Anyways, probably should stop talking about Nazis and whatnot and go back to the original topic, which I don't even remember what it was going to be. Something about prejudice and opinions and cuss words and all this stuff, but kind of just left that in the dust. Maybe I should come up with like a completely new topic that's less charged. I'm gonna think of one while I go get some more water. I'll be right back. I I think I remember where I was trying to go with all of this. The whole not allowing people to be who they are, and affecting other people with words and whatnot. Um, you know, and I feel like I may have mentioned this before and whatnot. Um, the whole idea of, you know, yeah, I think I might have briefly mentioned this, but this is like such a crucial, like, core element of who I am and what I sort of stand for. But I cannot tolerate any sort of negativity or any sort of building that isn't positive because of my past, my history, and my experience with bullying. You know, there's a lot of people that would say that they were my friends, and they would tease me, but they were always just sort of using me and whatnot. um, and again, I've never really gone super into this, But the thing that I most want to talk about is whether you're putting someone down or building them up. If it's not for who they are, if you're not giving them the chance to be themselves, if you're not willing to accept who they are, or give them a chance to introduce themselves or do anything, then that's just wrong. You know, I think I did make the comparison of being bullied is actually worse than being put on a, or being bullied is better than being put on a pedestal, because at least you know that bullying is wrong. You're being pushed down and you realize that that's wrong. But when you're being lifted up and admired and loved for something that you're not, that feels worse, because you don't know if, you know, they're seeing what they want to see or they're seeing something that you can't see. And, you don't want to disappoint them, even though you feel like you aren't that. And sometimes you just can't be, and then people will hate you for it. Um, but words have so much meaning. The way that you talk to someone can really affect them with just the smallest things. And I know this so well. I almost said more than anyone, but I'm sure that's not true. Um, you know, and I don't want to go into like my whole history of bullying. Like my experience from day one. Um, Maybe I could. You know, I sort of did that uh, last podcast where I briefly went over my history with art. Learning and exploring that. So maybe I could go into bullying. Um, but before I get too distracted on a tangent, I do want to go back to the idea and the importance of knowing that when you I'm trying to define this to like a very simple core point that you could throw up as like a bullet point or like a flashcard, and it really isn't that simple. um, but when you, hmm, um, yeah, I can't think of like a way to like straightforward describe how how you can affect other people, you know, and some of it is dependent upon you and how you choose to basically present yourself and interact with other people and whatnot. Um, but also with just you know, like I said, you have to be aware of your audience, because uh, you could tell like the funniest joke ever, but if you say it at a comedy club versus a funeral, it may or may not go well. It really depends on the audience. Maybe it is like a good audience at a funeral, or maybe the people at the um, comedy club have higher standards. You just never know unless you actually put in the time to care and pay attention, and basically be willing to accept someone else's opinion, you know? And I don't think a lot of people do that. Um I have this cool innate ability that I think almost everyone has, but I have specifically tuned and sort of honed this ability. I've learned ways to, uh, you know, grow in this uh, thing that I have, which is a understanding of people. You know, some of it comes from when I would, just people watch and, daydream and think about, all the different timelines and possibilities of another person's existence. So, I've learned some of that. I'm not a mind reader and I'm not a fortune teller. I can't see the future and I don't know everything about a person just by looking at them. Um, but I will say there is some natural bent that some people have. Some people will call it intuition. Some people call it a gut feeling. But there's always something that you have that will help you understand something about someone that you just can't understand with words. And I have that. Um, and I've been able to use this ability, in complete silence, just by looking at someone or spending time with them, sitting alone with them, in silence. It's this ability, in freaking VR chat, talking to mutes and whatnot. I can understand them. I can hear what they're saying because I can translate. I can understand what they're speaking without them even having to say a word because I have learned how to be quiet and how to listen. Not a lot of people are willing to listen. Some of it comes from being patient, compassionate, empathetic, but a lot of it just comes from being willing to, you know, actually, what it probably comes from is my lack of confidence, my inability to see myself as special or important. I put myself below every single bar. I have such a very low view of myself. Esteem might be the word. Let's Google that word real quick just to, because this is fun. Esteem, respect, and admiration, typically for a person. Um, that's just sort of consider or deem, um, you know, to respect or admire someone. Um, people always refer as self-esteem, but you can hold someone else in high esteem as well. These are people that are important to us, friends, family, celebrities. So, you know, these are the people that we listen to. These are the people that we give the time of day. We allow ourselves to sit back, and let them take the stage. And I believe it's because I consider myself the lowest of low, and I put everyone else out there that exists higher than me. That I, have this ability to understand and, appreciate them for who they are. I love everybody. you know I would do so much. I would put myself at harm's way and risk. I would do pretty much anything just to help other people, because I don't care for myself. I literally don't care for myself. I throw so much money and time and effort people's ways because I don't think it's worth anything if it's spent on me. I think it's a waste. And it's due to this that, you know, I consider other people better than myself, that I'm willing to care about who they are, what they say and think, what they do, and, you know, appreciate that simply for them being them, which seems, you know, foreign or impossible to other people, you know, to be able to consider that someone else might be more deserving than them. It's preposterous, even, you know? It's crazy, but it's true. When I started doing this podcast, I was doing it because I've always wanted to do a podcast. I've always wanted to get my thoughts and ideas and words out there because I do believe that the things that I say have affected other people in good ways. And I don't like putting other people down in any way, shape, or form. I always try to be smart and helpful and uplifting and nice and, trying to make people happy. I I'm not trying to, you know, tough love, basically. I'm not trying to give constructive criticism. I'm not trying to put other people down and say that they're wrong and need to do better. I'm saying that I'm bad. I need to do better. But I also believe that everybody's different. Nobody's perfect. And we could always try harder. We could always, try to be better. You know, Yoda said, "Do or do not, there is no try." And what that means is that if you attempt something with the thought of, not being willing to put your all into it, you're more than likely going to fail. But, sometimes even just trying, the act of being willing to attempt something is often better than, giving no effort at all. They also say that it's better to shoot for the moon and miss than to, I guess, not aim for the moon, because then you at least land amongst the stars. That's a really stupid one. But basically, the point is, it's better to shoot for, high hopes and dreams and miss than to set low expectations and meet them. I think I've also mentioned this, but there is some goodness in, respecting, your and admitting to your own abilities and, making plausible and, plans that are achievable. you know there is some intelligence in that, but the whole point is that you should be willing to try, at least experiencing it, even if it's bad, even if it's not what you wanted, if it's not, at least you got to experience it. They say it's better to have loved and lost than to never loved at all, because it's better to have an oops than a what if. People always say that the unknown is what's the scariest the most, and that's why people can't do love, because they're so scared of what the answer is, when the truth is that if they say no, your life will go back to the way it was before them. And if they say yes, then you have a chance at something great. And sometimes that's good and sometimes it ends badly, but at least you got that experience, and you should you know appreciate it for what it was, even if it didn't turn out to be the perfect thing. You should never go into a relationship hoping for the perfect thing or holding off for the perfect thing, because it's never going to happen. You're going to have to compromise. You're going to have to make it happen. And if you don't have any experience, then what's the point? That's what life is all about, is going out and experiencing things and actually attempting and trying and messing around, messing up. And it's better to do it when you're younger, before you start making bigger decisions and messing up and affecting other people in bigger ways. Right now, I didn't think it was okay for me to be experimental and trying things, trying to, it's never too late to change, basically. you know it's because of the different things that I'm trying now that are breaking me out of this monotony, this routine that I have. I always seem to find myself in this routine of going to school, struggling, going home, and just going wanting to go to sleep as soon as possible because I just couldn't handle it anymore and just wanted to sleep my life away. And then I would just wake up the next day. I never pursued or tried anything. And then I would go to school, struggle and come, I didn't have any free time to enjoy life or experiment or try anything. I would wake up early, go to work, come home, be too tired to do anything, just pass out. I never had any opportunities to express myself or try anything or release or, it's difficult to find yourself and who you are. And sometimes it takes someone else, not to give you purpose or meaning, but to help you see differently. They're different perspectives, they're different opinions, what they value. you know Sometimes they can give you value, or you can find what they value in things, and maybe even find value in yourself. It's hard. It's not easy. There's no right way to do anything. And that's why you have to be willing to just try and, be willing to fail and accept that failure is still good. I think I make a lot of quotes, and I know I've said this one before, but I'll say it again. Um, After Thomas Edison failed to create a proper working light bulb, after 100 attempts, um, he actually said that I have not failed to make a light bulb 100 times. I have learned 100 ways in which not to make a light bulb. Because, even failure is a learning experience. And, that's what science is: experimenting, testing, learning, understanding variables and how to overcome them next time. Love hurts. And sometimes you just want something nice, something peaceful. And sometimes you have to be that for someone, even if that's what you want. You know, it's hard, and there's no quick and easy solution, or sometimes there's not even a right solution. But since we're moving away from the negativity and getting into the positivity, let's talk about words. Let's talk about speaking to other people. You know, I spend a lot of time complimenting people. Reminding them, of good things, and hopefully giving them value because, they have followers or, people around them that are supporting them, that love them. I try to be that for a lot of people because I guess that's something that I want. I don't have anybody that, talks to me or, you know, finds a whole lot of value in who I am and what I do. Every so often I'll try to do something. I'll donate money. I'll make fan art for someone because I want to be appreciated and complimented. But you can never give enough that people are going to give back. You have to learn how to take, and that's difficult. Specifically for who I am in my history and growing up. You know, but it's important to you know it's important to give, but you can give too much. You can give until you have nothing. So you have nothing left to give, and you are just empty, and you just need, and nobody wants to help. And that's sort of where I'm at right now. Oh. And it's hard because sometimes you don't know what you need. You don't know where to go to find the solution that you're looking for, or you don't know how to ask for help. You don't know what words to say that will entice people or affect them, or you can never earn love. You can never force someone to want to give back or help you. You can try, you can do all the right things, but again, it doesn't matter what you say or do. People are always only ever going to be themselves and take what you say or do and translate it in a way of what they understand. So even if you are, being nice, they'll still be on the edge. They'll think you're a creeper or, worse, you know. That's why it's important to be careful of what you say and do. And, you know, not that if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Um, but, it is good to say nice things to people, which feels like a no brainer. But when you think about it, when's like the last time that you said something to someone that left a significant impact on them, for better or for worse? You know, we could always, like, greet each other in the morning or give each other a smile and a wave, and even just that can completely save someone. I cannot stress that enough. Just smiling at someone can cure their soul. Cannot stress that enough. But it's good to have those connections and spread, not just your own ideas and perspective, but, if you have some goodness to share, you know, give to someone who can't, who doesn't, help remind them that they are special too. Everybody's hurting. Don't be afraid to reach out and, talk to a stranger or someone that you maybe haven't talked to in a long time or maybe don't know yet, and just tell them they're amazing, because they are. They are a scientific wonder. You know, it's a dream that they are here, alive, living, flourishing. And I understand that not everybody sees that. I don't see that in myself, but I see that in other people. And I think that's why it's so easy for me to build others up. But it's hard for me to accept it or take it myself, basically. That's my own fault. That's something that I need to work on. I honestly don't really know how, and I wish I could ask for help, but I don't know how. I don't know what I need. I have a problem that I just latch onto people, and I try to give them so much, just trying to get attention. If anything, it's unhealthy. It's not just pitiful. It's a serious problem. So, and I'm not just trying to say like, hey, you should say nice things to someone that you might know because it could affect them. Like, I'm trying to get, people to talk to me and say nice things to me. It's because of my situation, my pain and suffering, my history, that I know that it would work. You know, it's because of who I am that I can say with certainty, because this is my area of expertise, that if you are willing to step out of your comfort zone, to be willing to accept that even though someone may be different, someone that's not you, you know, could be pretty good too, They could be nice enough to have around or be appreciated, complimented, and used in ways that would benefit both of you. You know, it's it's something to consider. And I don't know. I like how I tried to segue into this next segment of trying to talk about uh, what's the opposite of like hate speech, like love speech, I guess. Uh, but I just sort of went into my depressing story. Um, it's, you know, we go through this life without knowing the answers. And that can be scary. But we don't have to go through it alone. You know, there was someone the other day that I messaged out of the blue because, I was trying to check in on them. I will admit that I'm that person that tries to message someone every single day. Even if they're busy, even if I know that I'm not, important enough to be talked to. But they weren't doing well. And, it took a little coaxing for them to, sort of explain what was going on. But, you know, I just I started showering them with everything that I had because I knew exactly what it's like to be in the situation that they were in. And I could say like all these nice things, I could compliment them, or tell them like there's good things in life worth living for or whatever, this, that, and the other thing, but I know that stuff like that doesn't work. You know, I could explain so much to them, but I know that in their situation they're not feeling that. They don't know how to understand that. Not that they're, you know, in the wrong mindset to be willing to have logical thought. I don't know if their situation had progressed that badly, but just continuously I kept saying things because I wanted them to know that I was there, and I wasn't just talking just to talk, but I wanted them to be aware that I was still there. I was speaking even though it's at a distance, it's over a social media thing. I wanted to just keep typing so that they know that I'm not doing anything else other than being right there for them. There's nothing else more important for me to be doing at that moment than just being there for them. Trying to help them. I don't know if anything I did or said was, good, but at least I was trying. And, I did say things along the lines of, you know, how they've affected me, and I don't want them to get hurt because, that hurts me. And, basically telling them all the positive things that they do for me and how I don't want to lose that because that's important to me. And that might seem selfish, but that does, give them some self of worth. You know, that's honestly what I had to do, is because I just couldn't live anymore. I couldn't live for myself. I was going to, I was in that position where I realized that there's nothing for me. I'm just pain, and I cause people trouble, and it would be better if I wasn't around. I got to that point, and I almost did something that, you know, technically speaking, I wouldn't have been able to regret because I wouldn't have been able to think, say, or do anything. But the reason why I stopped myself from doing that is because I was bored. I didn't want to keep trying to do what I was doing, and I wanted to go out there and do something. There's so much that I want to do and experience that I realize that, even if I am going to leave, I might as well at least attempt and trying to do all the stuff that I want to, you know. I stopped caring. I started living for myself and doing things, and it was raw, and it was unhealthy. Um, and it got to the point where, you know, even that sort of motivation wasn't working. And, you know, I sort of gave up again because I couldn't do the things that I wanted to, you know. I didn't have enough motivation. So I started, in the meantime, doing things for other people, you know, making other people happy, you know. The way not to go to prison is by following the rules, you know. If you make people happy, you know, they'll be happy and, you know, treat you right or whatever. And I slowly but surely started to care for people again. There is a story in the middle there, but I'm not sure if I should share it. Again, I'm trying to be vague of, you know, the situation because of probably, you know, TMI of, or TOS, or whatever it's called, you know, on Twitch and probably YouTube. You know, it's not good to discuss uh, not just like mental stuff, but, you know, um, life stuff and the ending thereof or whatever. Um, so I won't go into too much detail, and I also probably won't share that specific story. Um, but I did have this sort of moment where I realized that the things that I were doing was hurting people, and that's wrong. You know, I've been bullied so much that there was actually a moment where the bullies were bullying someone else, and for a brief moment I was like, haha, yeah, you know, I joined in for just a brief moment, and instantly knew, you know, that's more than just wrong. You know, I should know better. And it hurt so much, but yet at the same time, I did it because I was scared. I was desperate. I wanted to fit in. You know, I wanted to not be, you know, hated or on the lowest point of the food chain anymore. But it was wrong. And, you know, that's why I really try super extra hard to make sure that I am considering other people and thinking about them, you know, trying to make sure that everything I say and do is only to, you know, uplift other people. I need more water. It's because I know better. It's because I know that I can do better. That I am the lowest of low and can, you know, come out of that. I've escaped that. that I know what it's like to be there, to need something, anything, you know, to beg and plead for someone to say or do something to help you, to pull you out of this, or even just to let you know that you're not alone, to beg and plead at the bottomless pit, with nothing. And to get no response. I know what that's like. I've been there. And I don't know how I got out. By all accounts, I should be a villain. I should be evil. I should have so much hatred. But I don't. And I'm not really sure why. Other than for the simple fact that I know that it's wrong, and I know that me acting that way feels bad, doesn't do anybody any good. Not even me. So that's why I try to be respectful, constructive, uplifting, and helpful. Because, just because I never got any doesn't mean that, I can't give back. I can't help, That's really all I do. That's all I'm trying. There's only so much that one person can do. And there's so much that can be done. There's so much hatred and pain that needs to be cleansed and healed and removed or whatever. And it may seem daunting, and the truth is that it's impossible. We can never overcome this stuff, Not just alone, but there's too much out there for any single person to, live a perfect life, either ignoring all this stuff, or overcoming it. It's not possible, but it's the living through it, being able to survive. That's what life is about. And it's only easier with friends by your side. If everyone could be friends and work together, it would be chaos, if you ever look at the idea of a utopia, it's always a dystopia. And let's go look up those words real quick. A utopia, an imagined place or state of things in which everything is perfect. Yeah. So basically, a utopia is like this perfect world where there's no problems, there's no crime. Everybody's working together, everybody's nice. Again, it's just it's impossible. But if you ever look at a utopia, it's usually a dystopia, an imagined state or society in which there is a great suffering or an injustice, typically one that is totalitarian or post-apocalyptic. So if you ever seen media or whatnot where they try to make it perfect. There's almost always something that is clearly and immensely wrong. They're using people as batteries, or some people get to live a perfect life, but there's something horrible, you know, on the outside. If you look at movies like The Lorax, I'm sure that's one that everyone's seen, or The Matrix or something. There's just all this stuff that, you know, if everything is perfect, then it's all fake. That actually reminds me of a great scene in Star Trek where Captain Kirk is in this extra dimensional plane where he's living through his old memories and whatnot, and he gets to live this perfect life that he's always wanted on this homestead with his wife. And Captain Picard goes in to save him, to rescue him, pull him back out because they need him. There's this great line where Picard says, "You need to come back. This isn't real. The universe needs you, and or the galaxy needs you." And Kirk says, "I've saved the galaxy dozens of times. The galaxy owes me one." And he wants to say, because it's perfect, and whatnot. But then he takes Picard out horse riding with him. Kirk does. And they go and jump over this little ditch and whatnot. And then Kirk stops, and Picard has to stop and turn around and come back up to him. And Kirk's just staring at the little ditch. And he says, "I have never been able to jump over that. The horse has either been too scared, or I've suffered great injury. We've caught into it, but I did it this once, and there was no uncertainty. There was no thrill. There was no chance of failure." And he just turns to Picard and says, "I'm going back." And Picard says, "Why? I mean, it's perfect here. You can have whatever you want." And the point being, I don't need to be lectured by you. I was out saving the galaxy when your grandfather was in diapers. Besides which, I think the galaxy owes me one. Yeah. Basically, the point being is that if it's not real, then what's the point? You could have someone tell you the greatest things, or pay someone to do all these great things, but if they're not doing it out of the kindness of their heart, if it's not real, then it doesn't mean anything. It's the chance of failure. I've seen actually, there's another great movie scene, young Indiana Jones, where Indy is teaching this little boy servant how to play this game, and they're using sticks, so I think it's like hockey, but they're rolling a ball to the opposing goals, and he's teaching them how to play. And then the little kid scores the goal, and he's like, "Oh my goodness, that's amazing!" And then he turns to Indy, and he's like, "Oh, did I do something wrong?" And he's like, "No, you did it. You scored a point. You won." And he's like, "Is that good?" "It is for you, not for me." He's like, "Oh, so you want to? Yeah, of course I want to win. I want to get the goals in." And he's like, "All right, then I will allow you to win all the goals from next time." And then he stops and he's like, "Well, I don't want you to do that. If you let me win, then there's no point. There's no challenge. Because that's what it's all about. If someone doesn't give their all, to, stop you, or if they don't respect you enough to give, uh, their all in order to help or hinder you, then it's just a slap in the face. And again, going back to freaking um, My Hero Academia, Deku, and um, Bakugo versus Todoroki. That's what it was. Um, Bakugo has this very immense passion that he wants to fight and beat everyone, and he could probably do it, but he doesn't want anyone to hold back. You know, that's why he doesn't beat up Deku, because he's super weak. Um, but he, um, when he sees, someone that's strong, he wants to challenge them. That's why he challenges All Might and Todoroki. Um, but he doesn't want to just win. He wants to beat people at their best, because that doesn't just prove that he's better than them at their very best, but he wants the respect of someone else going all out. You know, if you don't give someone your all, then what's the point? If you don't pursue something with everything that you have, then you know, unless it's like, I guess, super easy or whatever, you can just like order it on Amazon. But like, it's important to consider that when you want something, you know, be willing to put in the time and effort to make sure that, you know, don't ever, compromise unless you have to, and there will be situations where it's good to compromise. Be willing to compromise, but never on the things that you care about, your passions, your ideals. Uh, Again, quoting something else, the Salem witch trials. I don't remember the name of the book. Shoot. Maybe it was just um, but at the end of the book, like the whole thing is about like the Red Scare and whatnot, of people are being possessed by demons or whatever, but they're really not. It's just this girl that says that she can seize demons, and is basically telling the rest of the town, all the people that she dislikes, and telling them to hang them. Um, and at the very end of the book, it's like the main character guy that is told that he should be hanged. Um, uh, and um, sorry, I'm thinking about this other point. I'll just say it just to get it off my mind. Important point of order: people are hanged, items are hung. It's more than just a proper noun usage. It's a respect thing for living creatures and whatnot. Um, Sorry, that's all that I was thinking of. Um, but the person, the guy that's to be hanged, um, is given an opportunity that he can change his name and leave rather than be killed, basically. Um, and he almost does it, and he's like, just sign this thing that says that everything that I have said against the courts or whatever, just like sign your name here and whatnot, and say that I was wrong, and all these things. And he goes to do it because it's such a stupid thing anyways, that it should not lead to this you know ending with death, basically. And he goes to do it, and his wife does it, and he stops and he says, this is wrong. And the point of the specific part of the quote is that leave me my name, take everything else away from me, but leave me my name. If you take that part away from me, then who am I? And he wouldn't back down on his ideas. He wouldn't surrender like the rest of the town that were just following orders and going along with all these terrible lynchings, these killings of other people, because they were afraid that if they refuted, that they would also be killed. And he wouldn't back down. He was the one person to speak out. John Proctor, yes, thank you. He wouldn't back down, and he wouldn't be willing to compromise on what he knew was right. That reminds me of a quote from someone else. I remember. Peggy Carter from Marvel. The reason why she was so strong and whatnot, she was asked why. And the quote is, even if the entire world tells you to move or tells you that you're wrong, don't surrender, don't give up. Plant yourself like a tree and tell the rest of the world to move. If you know that you're right, do not, allow your opinions and ideals to be trampled and, walked over, to be belittled and ignored. Those things are special and important, not just to you, but, they are real, So be careful and, be aware that that's how you can also affect other people with the things that you say and do is, even if you say something like, I cut my sandwiches diagonally, that could be like such a hurtful and harmful thing to someone because their mom would always cut the sandwich in half. And that's like something that they won't compromise on because that was very special to them. It's like very simple things like that. It should be stupid. Just like, who cares really? Like pineapple on pizza. Honestly, it really doesn't matter. Just eat your pizza however you want. If you put milk before the cereal, like, who's really gonna notice or care? Just make sure that you drink all the milk. And I feel like I'm inciting like so many riots right here at the very end. But the point is that it's the challenge and the pursuit that makes life worth living, and don't allow yourself to be hindered by what other people think, what other people say, because there's always going to be someone that's going to disagree. There's always going to be someone that's going to, have a different opinion or be upset by your opinion or try to stop you or gets the torches and pitchforks. Pineapple on pizza, rouse the townfolk. There's heresy afoot. Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to think of like something else, but I can't think of anything else. But yeah, just be aware that you're capable of so much more than you realize, like great things. And it's simply because you have these things about you, not just like your quirks and your differences and like abilities and whatnot, but your ideals, your pursuits. It's these things that drive you, and they can either drive you until you're gone, like you're empty and you've got nothing else, or they can drive you to great heights. And you may crash and burn, but at least you reached higher than other people. You know, at least you tried. And that's really important. I kind of tied things back up together. There was a couple things that I glossed over. Getting back to the utopia versus dystopia thing. You know, don't worry about trying to be perfect, because there's no way to be perfect. Um, and if you can do something and there's no challenge, you know, take some pride in that, I suppose. Be willing to, challenge yourself. It's good to challenge yourself. That's how you grow. That's how you expand new horizons and get greater abilities and friends, even, you know, experiences and memories. You know, you can even gain skills from trying something that you're not good at. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to do here, basically. Um, yeah, just follow the pursuits and chase your dreams, I guess. Uh, and don't be willing to accept other people and, you know, understand that they're different. They've got their own, pursuits and ideals and whatnot. But if you've got something that someone else has, you know, something that they have to say about it, don't, be willing to accept other opinions. Be willing to accept that you may be wrong, but if you know that you're right, don't back down. Don't let them change you. Don't let them force you into their mold and make you who they want to be. You know, be yourself always. Hmm. I think that's a pretty good way to end this. Can't think of any other uh, final words that'd be better than that. I feel like there was something else that I glossed over near the end, but I can't really think of what it was. There was like so many things that I kept making allusions to, quotes and whatnot. There was probably something that I was going to touch on, and I went off on another tangent and forgot. But yeah, I think that's pretty good. We'll end it here, and let's. Oh, that's what it was. It's all right for now. You know, you don't have to go and complete. That's something that I really struggled with. Is whenever I wanted to do something, I had to make sure that it got done to completion, you know, at my very best, as soon as possible, to be, not necessarily perfect, but the very best that I could do. I knew my strength and abilities and my what I could produce as my best. Um, and I would just focus on one thing until it got done. I had just tunnel vision and wouldn't think about anything. Um, it's okay. I go off on tangents too. I get so bad for my best friend and I that his wife literally has a bell she'll ring if we start getting off topic during more important conversations. Oh man. Yeah, that that is a problem, and I know that it happens, but it is sort of important to have those discussions if they are related to the topic at hand. There'll be topics that if you're talking about, the groceries that you're trying to buy, and then you start talking about Doctor Who, that's a tangent I can understand. But topics like this where there's a lot of things that are connected, it's important to touch on all those things and make sure that they're discussed and whatnot. Um, but getting back to what I was saying about, uh, it took me a while to learn, and my dad had to teach me that, you may not be able to get something 100%. It's because he pushed me so hard to get A's in school and make sure. He thought that I was lazy and complacent and just trying to do the bare minimum. So he forced me to do my very best, 100%, just constant push all the time, and my best wasn't good enough, so I needed to be better. Um, and then he would teach me that sometimes it's better to get a homework assignment in on time at 70%, so that it would be graded at 70%, rather than to turn it 2 days in late and have 100% and get marked down 2 grades. It may still be 70% of a grade, but usually it's not. It's usually worse when some stuff is marked late. And again, there's no way to make sure that it's perfect. So if you turn it in late, there's still a chance that it's not 100%. It's probably at 80%. So then when you get knocked down, it's now at 60%. So yeah. I've had to learn so much about, just being able to do what's capable for now, doing enough for now, you know. That's why it's hard for me to start projects, because I don't want to do them until they're done. That's the reason why I don't watch uh, TV shows, because I don't like, a serial that gets released every now and again. If I want to get started on something, I want to finish it, or at least see enough of it that I'm just not like, oh, now tune in next week for, yeah, I hate stuff like that. And that's the reason why I don't watch a whole lot of shows or anime or whatever. Um, but I I just had to learn how to, you know, make do, and sometimes that's good enough, and sometimes that may be your whole life, is just being able, you know, doing what you can for now. As long as you're trying your best, being willing to attempt and put in the effort, it doesn't really matter what the final product is, as long as you can keep moving, keep surviving, that's all that really matters. Just be yourself, keep trying, be willing to try different things, and, well, keep trying. And don't worry about failing. Just be willing to get back up and try again. And I think that's the best I can do for advice. So call it a night. Thank you guys, all of you.